The Glass Menagerie, Illusion, by Sarah Hite. In the play The Glass Menagerie, the characters hide from reality, but live in an illusion of what they believe life is. Their choices result in poor consequences for the whole family. Throughout the entire play, you can constantly see the illusions that each character lives in. Some characters are dreaming in the past, while others are dreaming in the future. Intro to the characters. I chose this quote because it kind of sums up the whole point of this presentation. It gives an in-depth, detailed look into some of the characters, and I really appreciate this quote. Mother is trying to do the best she can. The son works in a warehouse. The daughter is crippled. Never has been able to finish school. She is shy and spends time collecting her animals. Amanda's illusion. Amanda's illusion is living in the past. The 17 gentlemen callers. She still continually talks about her husband, Mr. Wingfield, who left her 17 years prior. She leaves his portrait on the wall and brings him up occasionally, even though she comments on how she could have easily married someone else, although those people usually ended up in a tragic story. Examples and consequences of Amanda's illusion. One Sunday afternoon in Blue Mountain, your mother receives 17 gentlemen callers. Why, sometimes there weren't enough chairs to accommodate them all. That is also a quote from the story. And the consequence of that was, Amanda lives in the past, always telling stories. In various times, she has tried to convince her shy daughter that she needs a husband, resulting the daughter to be even more ashamed of herself. Even after 17 years, Amanda constantly talks about her husband, who abandoned her. She always claimed that her son was just like his dad. And the consequence of that is, I believe this led him to fall in the self-fulfilling prophecy, which is any positive or negative expectation about circumstances, events, or people that affect a person's behavior toward them in a manner that causes expectations to be filled. And that was, Amanda always told her son Tom that he was just like his father. Son begins to believe this, and in turn, son abandons mother just like father. The next slide is Tom and illusion. Tom's illusions are found within adventure. He craves it, and he can't find it at the warehouse where he's employed. Tom is the one who dreamed of the future. The warehouse was not for him. Examples and consequences of Tom's illusion. I go to the movies because I like adventure. Adventure is something I don't have much at work of, so I go to the movies. That's a quote from the story. And people go to the movies instead of moving. And I really like this quote, this semi-quote from the story, because it can really allow us to take a look at how we all kind of do this. We all go to the movies, or we live vicariously through people, just as Tom did, and we do nothing about it. Tom didn't really do anything about the adventure he craved because of the pressures of his mom and the guiltiness of him having to stay and take care of her sister because he didn't have a husband. He was stuck where he was. He didn't move. He wasn't able to go anywhere and find that adventure because he was feeling pressured. And the consequence of this is the illusion in Tom's mind of the movie's adventure, and along with the self-fulfilling prophecy, caused him to leave his mother and sister just as he did 17 years earlier. And when he started to feel this self-fulfilling prophecy and wanting to gain that adventure, Tom decided that it would be a good idea not to pay the electric bill, but instead that he would pay his dues to the Union of Merchant Seamen instead of paying the bill. And when Jim asked if Tom was okay with not paying the bill, and wouldn't his mother be mad, Tom simply said that he was leaving anyway. Throughout the play, Tom got into various fights with his overbearing mother. She could not understand why and how Tom could spend so much time at the movies. At one point, Tom came up with this elaborate story filled with adventure throughout. This showed his dreaming side. Laura and illusion. Laura's illusions were a bit more complicated than the other characters. Hers were the furthest from reality. She was an introvert. Her emotions were invested completely in the menageries. And then she always thought back to Jim and the nickname he gave her of Blue Roses. Examples and consequences of Laura's illusions. I don't do anything much. Oh, please don't think I sit around doing nothing. My glass collection takes up a good deal of time. Glass is something you have to take good care of. And the consequence of this was Laura was shy and crippled, so she invested a lot of time in her menageries. No outside friends or gentlemen callers. She didn't take the time to go out. Only she thought about the past memories of Jim O'Connor and the nickname he gave her, Blue Roses. I find that Laura was quite a bit like her mother in the way that she would sit back, and anytime she thought of any boyfriend or any crush, it would have been Jim O'Connor. She thought back to him and often told the story to people somewhat a lot. And the Blue Roses, for example, was a story that was kind of touching. Laura had been out of school for plimosis, and whenever Jim asked where she had been, she said that she was out due to that illness, and he couldn't understand her very well. So he thought she said Blue Roses, and from that in on, he called her Blue Roses. Laura also spent a lot of time with her glass menageries, and I picked the picture of the unicorn because when Jim and Laura were together toward the end of the story, a menagerie got knocked over and the horn on the unicorn broke off. And it was kind of symbolic to her because then she said, it can be a horse now and be with all the other horses. And it kind of reminded us and showed us even though Laura is crippled, she would be able to, if she was not crippled, to be able to fit in with everyone else, and that her braces wouldn't matter anymore. The play went into detail to tell us to think of her like a light that shines, and that was just the symbolism throughout the entire play. I think was wrapped completely around Laura and the menageries, and just, I love symbolism. Jim and illusion. Jim, I believe, is the most simple character and someone who most of us can relate to in life. He doesn't live that deep in illusion, even though there are a few examples on how he does. He believes that dreams are not often achieved, probably because we get stuck in them. He does not completely understand Laura's crippledness and shyness. He believes that she should just be more confident within herself and that she wouldn't be shy anymore. Examples and consequences of Jim's illusions. This is a quote from the story. In high school, he had been extremely popular and had been expected to succeed at whatever he attempted. And the consequences of that is, like everyone in the play, Jim lived in his dreams rather than reality. The possible reason as to why he hasn't made it any further than Tom. Perhaps he believed that his popularity would have taken him further in life. Perhaps he lived too much in his dreams. He wanted to do them, but he got stuck like Tom. He was engaged now, which means that he is going to be put in a set of responsibilities, and maybe he thinks that that is the end. And maybe that's why he danced with Laura and had the opportunity to kind of flirt with her a little bit because he knew he was going to be stuck. And he believed that dreams could never be achieved. In conclusion, throughout this play, the characters are tempted toward illusion when they find reality is too painful. Amanda, she had her abandonment with the gentleman callers that she always thought back to. Tom found his illusion in the adventure in the movies. Laura found her in the menageries and the way that she felt like one of them and she took good care of them. And Jim found his illusions in dreams and success. I hope you all can understand more about this play after this PowerPoint presentation. Thank you and have a good day.